Hey there, Capricorn. Welcome to your reading for the week of February 9th. This week you have the Stars card. It says long journey brings rewards, which is amazing. You have this Medusa card. It says jealousy leads to downfall. I would just be careful of jealous people. I mean, we are in a time where, we could see people who are jealous, who don't like what we're doing or whatever. And, I think the best thing to do is to just ignore it. But it looks like you're ending a long journey here, Capricorn, which has definitely come up for you before. So, I think that will obviously be a good thing for you, especially if you're accomplishing something you've been trying to accomplish or, finally finishing a cycle. Great time to finish a cycle because next week, on the 17th, we have that eclipse. So anything you can, bring to an end or clear out would be very good. I've said to everyone that, this eclipse in particular is very good for closing out cycles. We need to make space with an Aquarius eclipse. So, again, finishing things, closing things out, good idea. You start here with the Ten of Swords, the Page of Pentacles, and the Lovers. Again, this is coming up in the area of your current general energies. So the Ten of Swords could be definitely feeling backstabbed. You have that jealousy card. Again, if there is a jealous situation, I would avoid people or whatever that cause conflict. You have the Five of Wands here as well. So I would avoid that energy. Ten of Swords can be good, though. He's making a symbol with his hand, and that symbol is the same that the Hierophant is making on his card. So the Ten of Swords can represent like a blessing in disguise or receiving a blessing after a difficult period of time. And again, obviously a long journey would be difficult, and you could finally, like I said, be finishing it. The Ten of Swords is like death. He needs to realize that the situation he's in is dead, done, over with, and he just has to get up and move on to the next thing. You have the Page of Pentacles. You also have the Page of Cups and the Lovers. It is a great time for love, so if you're looking for love, I would definitely get out there. The eclipse will be conjunct Venus, which kind of makes it a little bit better. I still think it's a sketchy eclipse, but what I would say is that, conjunct Venus makes the energy a little bit nicer, but also is great for attracting like a fated connection into your life. And so, like I said, and you also have the Ace of Cups here and the Emperor. I didn't even notice the Ace of Cups. Again, if you're looking for love, I would definitely get out there. Page of Pentacles is amazing for learning. And you have this retrograde card in your next row, which, obviously I'll show you again in a second, but that card says review on it. We do have a retrograde this month, and so it might be a good time to review the things that you have learned, or to kind of touch up what especially if you have like a business or a career, or if there's something you're working towards, it might be a good time to update your information because it could be very valuable to you. The Page of Pentacles is a card of studiousness and learning. The more we learn, the more we earn with the Page of Pentacles. Next, you have the Lovers. Like I said, a lot of people have been getting love this week, and a lot of people got love during the eclipse readings that I just did, which will be linked up at the end of this video. And, so it just doesn't surprise me that there could be love coming in for you if you want it. The Lovers can also represent having a choice to make, and traditionally the Lovers was a choice in love, but I think in a general reading it could be any choice. And on top of that, we go up to the Seven of Pentacles to the Five of Wands. Seven of Pentacles is my card that says, is the juice worth the squeeze? He's looking at what he has grown in front of him, and he's saying, is it worth it or not for me to keep growing these pentacles, or is there something better that I could do with my time? And I can't answer that question for you, right? Five of Wands. If something brings conflict into your life, it might not be worth it anymore, Capricorn. It might be time to make a change or to move in a different direction. With the Ten of Swords, you have the Two of Swords. Yes, time to make a decision. You and Cancer, your opposite sign, basically get the same message every single week now. So, I don't know, you're overthinking something that you need to make a decision on. It's not going to even go how you think in the first place, Capricorn. Like I said, it cracks my ass up that you and Cancer basically get the same thing. But, she's thinking this or that, but something that she's trying to decide is actually going to go this way over here on this island. It's like trying to predict an outcome that you can't even predict. So, if you've been trying to make a decision on something, just do it and see what happens. It's almost like you're, maybe a good way to describe it is it's like you're overcommitting to something in the future that isn't even going to happen the way you think. And again, I'm not trying to be mysterious or anything, but it's like, you could be thinking like, oh, I'm going to start this business and I'm going to make $1 million a year. But it's like the universe is saying, yeah, what if you make $100 million a year? That's over here, or what if this business actually leads to something else that makes you, $100 million a year, right? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. Of course, Capricorn, it could, but, it's like something is not going to go how you think. So it's like, I think the readings for you have been trying to say, like, all the overthinking about this is just a waste of time, right? So it's like you need to make up your mind. With the Page of Pentacles, you have the King of Wands. Yeah, it could be attractive. It could be a fire sign. You have like everything here. You have earth, water, fire, air, even with the Lovers could be Gemini. So, you have basically every sign here represented. And so if you're looking for love, could be whatever. Could be a very bold, assertive, confident person with the King of Wands. Very fiery person as well. Again, they don't have to be a fire sign. But, any sign could be fiery or spicy. So it could be like a spicy person. I don't know. The King of Wands also wants you to be spicy, so I think it wants you to be bold, assertive, confident, and really go for something like a decision that you're trying to make or a goal you're trying to achieve. With the Lovers, you have the Seven of Swords. We've talked about this before, Capricorn. Seven of Swords can be lying, cheating, stealing, although, again, Seven of Swords is a good card. Golden cards in the tarot are meant to be positive no matter what. And so the whole point, the positive side of the Seven of Swords is that he's going to war without going to war. He is stealing these swords that he's holding from this army in the background, and so he's avoiding war. He's avoiding conflict. And you have 2 sevens to the 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands is conflict. But 2 sevens represents internal fears that don't exist. So it looks to me like you're trying to make a decision where you're worried that something is going to happen, but it's actually not. You even have the Tower, but the Tower is showing up in the good stuff. It's like you're worrying about something, thinking it's going to cause a Tower moment, but it's not. Or you're worried about conflict, but it's not going to happen. Seven of Swords, again, is about being tactical. It's about having a different approach to what you're trying to accomplish. And so I think having a different approach or approaching things differently could be very helpful as well. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this progression card. It says journey on it. You have this retrograde card. It says review on it. I do think it would be an excellent time for you to review things that you've learned and that you've been through. It might be just a good time to review your life. Even eclipses, like we have next week, are really good for kind of like reviewing how far you've come or like what you want the next stage of your journey to be. And so I think looking into that or spending just a little bit of time this week thinking about it before we have the eclipse even would be a good thing. You have the Ace of Cups, the Seven of Pentacles, and the Emperor. So Ace of Cups could be a big love offer coming in for you. Obviously, if you want love, it looks really good. Ace of Cups wants you to really get into the flow. Pretty much everyone gets some sort of message at least about flow right now. We need to get more into the flow. I think we also need to focus more on things that cause us to overflow. This cup just can easily reach down into the water below it and fill itself back up. So Ace of Cups is about identifying the things you do every single day and identifying the things that fill you up, that bring you fulfillment, right? And so definitely something to think about with the Ace of Cups. And again, if something isn't bringing you fulfillment, it's time to either change it or leave it behind, whatever the case may be. But I do feel pretty good about this card. You have the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles, again, is a change in direction. He's looking at these 7 Pentacles and he's saying, is it worth it for me to keep investing my time, effort, attention into these 7 Pentacles, or is there something better I could do with my time? And again, I can't answer that question for you. This is a card where you have to examine everything you're doing and say, is it worth it or not? I do feel there is a change in direction coming in for you. So, I'm not trying to make a decision for you, but Tower at the end of your reading. Tower is about accepting reality. Obviously in the good stuff, it's not that big of a deal. But, you could just be deciding that you're just going to accept your reality and make a change, which obviously would be a good thing. You have the Emperor. I do feel like some of you could be attracting an Emperor type person. Someone who's very driven, hardworking, just like you probably. As a Capricorn, you probably, are hardworking and all that other stuff. So, it could be someone who's very similar. Definitely like a bossed up individual. It doesn't matter what gender you're attracted to either. Just, seems like a bossed up person. I also feel this is encouraging you to boss up. And so if you're, again, working on any projects or important goals, really taking control is what this card wants you to do. And again, at the end of this week, we have Saturn will be entering into Aries on the 13th, Friday the 13th, right? So with that Saturn energy, we have to get disciplined on what we're working on, and we have to finish. That's the important thing with Saturn and Aries, is that we start something and we see it through all the way to its logical conclusion, and we have to have the discipline to do that. So there you go. With the Ace of Cups, you have the Eight of Cups. Again, if there are things that aren't fulfilling you, it's time to walk away from those things. This is the only card in the tarot, by the way, that has an eclipse on it right here. So, a lot of you could be eclipsing something out of your life and to find fulfillment or to make your life more fulfilled. And obviously that would be a good thing. I mean, the reading's asking you to do it. With the Seven of Pentacles, you have the Eight of Swords. Eight of Swords is like self-imposed restriction. Yeah, it's kind of a funny reading because it's not a bad reading, but I do feel it is asking you to look at where you are holding yourself back. I mean, the first two rows at least, and that Five of Wands. The Eight of Swords, she is stuck because she's only seeing one way of doing things. And the trick with the Eight of Swords is to realize that there are many ways to accomplish anything that you're trying to accomplish. This is a card of self-imposed restriction. And so we have these two sevens, and the two sevens could be saying that it's fear or like worries about what will happen or thinking too much about the outcome that could be getting in your way. And we also have two sevens this way, I realize. With the Emperor, you have the Ten of Wands. Again, you have that card that says a long journey brings rewards. Ten of Wands, he is carrying his rewards. Those 10 wands are his harvest, and he is very close to his home. So he is very close to achieving his goal or having the outcome that he desires. Sometimes I like the 10 of wands, sometimes I don't. I kind of feel like middle for you here, Capricorn. It's like, is it that big of a deal that you've done a lot of hard work and you're about to get a reward? Probably not. Does the 10 of wands say that you could maybe make it a little bit easier? Probably, but it's like, is it really that big of a deal? Like I said, probably not. But what I would say is if you're struggling with anything, Seven of Swords, some of this other stuff here, it wants you to look at what you're working on or what you're creating or what you're doing, and it wants you to say, like, is there an easier way? Like I always say, the thing I always say with him is it's like, yeah, he's very close to his home, but like, does he have a truck or a tractor on his farm where he could just put those wands in the truck and make his journey 1,000 times easier by driving those wands to his front door? Maybe, right? So what is your truck? What is your tractor on your farm? It's like, are you doing things the hard way when you could be doing things the easy way? And again, I can't answer that question, so definitely something to think about. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this Take a Breath card and this Courage card. Yeah, definitely this week is going to require some courage. We see a lot of courage cards, King of Wands, Emperor, for the most part. So it's like you're going to have to be brave, bold, assertive. Maybe working on your courage would be a good idea. I also said to someone else this week, I was getting like a message. You have this Take a Breath card. It's like I was getting this message about slowing things down, but from the perspective of like being more centered in your body, So it's like, I don't really have any good examples, Capricorn, but it's like if you're, I think it would be a good week to slow things down. Like if people are saying things to you or if you're in a meeting, instead of like responding right away, maybe it would be a good week to like think about things before you respond, stuff like that. You have the Five of Wands, the Page of Cups, and the Seven of Cups. Five of Wands is conflict and competition. Five of Wands isn't necessarily bad. It wants us to study the competition, because if we study the competition, we can see what they're doing and what they're not doing, and we can rise above it. So I think, I'm pretty sure I've said this to you a bunch of times this year already, so it might be a good time to study the competition. I also feel like this is saying like, I feel like you're thinking that something is going to cause a conflict that isn't, or it's like you need to make up your mind on something with that Two of Swords. The Five of Wands could just be conflicted thinking, like you're not sure what to do about a decision that you're clearly trying to make. And like, there is no good answer. I think your readings lately have really been encouraging you to get an answer, and it doesn't matter if there's gonna be conflict or not. I think it'll be a good thing for you, Capricorn. Really, it's like I said, it's not even gonna something is not even gonna go how you think, and I mean that in like a good way. It's like it's almost like by making a decision, you're creating an adventure, and you don't even know that yet. You have the Page of Cups. Page of Cups, again, could be love. So if you're looking for love, sure. Could be an admirer coming in for you. Page of Cups really wants you to bring that dream down to earth. And again, you have the Seven of Cups, which I'm pretty sure you always get with me. So he has this fish in this cup. And he might be imagining that fish. It might not be real. And I always say he needs to make sure that fish doesn't jump into the water behind him. He needs to bring that fish down to earth. So I feel a lot of you like have a dream that you need to create. It could be anything. It could be like a goal, wish, dream, whatever. The other thing is, like, I feel like you need to get excited about something again, or you are trying to get excited about something again. I feel maybe over the past like couple years or so, you haven't like, I don't know what I'm trying to say here, Capricorn. It's like I feel like you're still driven. It's like you still do work, but it feels more like maybe you have felt more robotic and like less, like excited or inspired. And I feel like this is kind of encouraging you to nurture your inspiration. It's almost like you need something to, inspire you to action is what I feel there. You have the Seven of Cups, which again is about being spoiled for choice. Again, too much thinking, right? He is dreaming of something, his dream, something he wants. But there are good things and bad things in these cups that he's looking at. The trick with the card is he doesn't know. He has to go through with whatever he's thinking about. The thing about the Seven of Cups is that, it can be a card of cheating yourself out of something because, he might look at the bad things and say like, oh, well, this isn't going to work, so I'm just not going to do it. But he doesn't actually know that. He doesn't know if something is going to work or not until he does it. So, the card itself wants you to follow through on some sort of dream and find out if it's going to work or not. Because I think what you're going to discover is that it's going to lead to something you don't even see yet, number one. But number two, it's like probably going to work better than you think. With the Five of Wands here, you have the Nine of Wands. Nine of Wands is the Wounded Warrior. We've talked about this before, that you have probably been the Wounded Warrior for years, especially in love. For you, Capricorn, just based off your astrology. Again, it wouldn't surprise me, as I've said to you many times, if you had difficult love connections over the past several years or so. And, could even just be like one significant situation. And the Nine of Wands is, kind of wounded, but he maybe needs to open up to something new because it could be a lot better. And, he really needs to learn and know that he has learned from those past situations. So, he really has nothing to fear. And I kind of feel that energy in this row. With the Page of Cups, you have the Two of Pentacles. Yeah, Two of Pentacles, like work hard, play hard. This is more of that like slowing down energy. It's like sometimes I think we just like work so we can ignore whatever is going on in our life. And so the Two of Pentacles wants you to like not ignore what the important things in your life. It says, don't bury yourself in work, or don't. It's kind of a weird message for the Two of Pentacles, but it's almost like saying to me, don't get caught up in a distraction. Something that isn't important in your life. I don't even have a good example. Again, I just feel like it could be work. It's like, again, sometimes I think we just work and work and work, trying to like avoid our life. And I feel this is saying like, there are other important things to pay attention to. With the Seven of Cups, you have the Queen of Cups. Follow your heart, basically. Queen of Cups, she listens to her heart above all else. She has this big cup in front of her, and so she listens to what her heart is telling her to do. And, that's what I would focus on the most. She also really listens to her intuition. And so I feel for you, Capricorn, it's like if there have been things that are just on your mind constantly, it could be your intuition that is trying to guide you towards something that could be really good for you. So I would, pay attention to your intuition. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this Reckless card. It says, uncontrolled spending habits and impulsive purchases are making your financial journey harder than it has to be. You have this Closed-minded. It says, sometimes you fail to see the infinite possibilities and opportunities that are available to you. Seven of Cups and the Seven of Cups and the Two of Swords, right? That's literally what I was saying this entire time, which is pretty crazy. So, again, that fits in very, very well with the message. Luckily, this is all coming up in the good stuff, so this would say that you're probably, fixing it, or you probably are going to find out what the world has to offer with the Seven of Cups and that Two of Swords. It's like you are going to say yes to something. You have the Tower, the King of Pentacles, and the Five of Swords. Again, a lot of Towers this week, a lot of Towers for the eclipse readings that I just did as well. Again, we are definitely going to see many Tower moments over the coming year, so I don't know, wouldn't really worry about it. There's nothing to worry about, really. Number two, it's coming up in the good stuff, so wouldn't even worry about it. In the good stuff, the Tower can represent just accepting reality. It's like sometimes I think that it's happened to me where it's like, I just accepted something in my life and it led to an improvement just by saying, oh, okay, this is like how things are, right? So I do kind of get a very matter-of-fact energy with the Tower. I kind of feel like you need to like face a tower. It's kind of like a weird feeling, but I feel like you need to face something. It's like you need to get the reality of a situation. It's almost like the Seven of Cups Tower is saying you need to get out of the fantasy, and make something a reality. You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting here. You have the King of Pentacles. Yeah, I'm not even worried about that money card here that says uncontrolled spending, because again, it's coming up in the good stuff. So a lot of you could be taking control over your finances or doing something better with your finances. But the King of Pentacles is like wealth building. And so a lot of you are probably just more focused on building wealth or improving your finances, which again, Pluto is now in your second house, which makes perfect sense. Pluto is where we get our power. And so Pluto in the second is about value. And there's a million ways that you can think about that word, right? You could be becoming more valuable. You could be treating yourself as if you're more valuable. The things you create, you could be creating more value with the things that you create and put out into the world. There's a million ways to look at it, but I think the more you nurture value in things that are truly valuable, we're not talking about materialism here. We're talking about true, actual value deep down inside. The more you do that, probably the more abundant you will be here, Capricorn. So that's what I would think about. You have the Five of Swords. Again, I feel pretty good about this and the good stuff because I feel it's saying you're going to take a risk. It's with the Two of Swords and the Seven of Cups and the Tower, it is almost like it's asking you to take a leap of faith, kind of like Fool energy, basically. So I do feel a lot of you or some of you are about to take some sort of risk. With the Tower, you have the Justice card. Could be getting justice from a past Tower moment, for sure. I have found in life that sometimes eclipses do kind of bring in like a certain level of justice. Sometimes, eclipses can bring back karma. They can be a little bit karmic or fated as well. And so with this here, it's like if something did happen to you, you could be getting like answers or justice on a past situation, which could be good. With the King of Pentacles, you have the Chariot here. Chariot is a victory or charging forward towards success. Sorry, wrong camera. But I feel the Chariot is about, that really says where there's a will, there's a way. The Chariot is about charging forward. He's setting himself apart. He's leaving the city behind him and he's charging forward in a new direction. And so he's setting himself apart because everything is the same inside that city. This is what I encourage everyone to do right now. Uranus and Gemini, we have to stick out like a sore thumb with Uranus and Gemini. There's definitely a lot of risk to it. Like that you will, people will have something to say about it if you're doing something to stand out, but there's a much bigger benefit to doing it, plain and simple, right? So I think we all have to take that risk and we just need to not listen to the haters here, Capricorn. With the Five of Swords, you have the Moon card. Actually pretty good in the good stuff because this would say you're getting clarity on your journey. The Moon is like fears, fantasies, illusions, not seeing things clearly. But in the good stuff, it definitely can represent seeing things more clearly or understanding the direction that you need to move in. So that's nice. You have this Dark Man card. You also have this Dark Woman card. It says dealings or relationships with a man with dark complexion or hair. You have this Grasshopper. It says situation in the balance that requires careful handling. Again, it doesn't really matter if you're looking for a man or a woman, or whatever. I don't care what you date. Go just find a good person. And again, you have the Justice, Two of Pentacles. It's like something needs to happen here if you're interested in a person, Capricorn, because I feel like nothing is happening. So Obviously this person probably won't stay single forever. I don't even know if you know this person or not. I don't think so. But, it's like maybe this is a person you haven't met yet. It's like if you meet a person and you're interested, like I'm not saying you have to like, dance in this person's face, right? Or something like that. But, you might want to like make your intentions known so you don't miss out on it. You have this dark woman. So again, we have a couple here. And again, it doesn't matter what gender you're into. I don't care. It says dealings or relationships with a woman with dark complexion or hair. You have this tortoise. It says slowly but surely getting ahead. So there you go. Finally could be making a move or making things happen. You have this feather. It says someone you know is undependable and insincere. We have to pay very close attention to people right now for sure. Saturn, Neptune, and Aries. There's just something about it. I think that if we feel weird around a person, we should probably trust it. You have this knot. It says unsuccessful plans. So, if something isn't working, we're kind of like in a time where if something doesn't work, we just have to try something else and not get caught up in the plan. And, we have to like kind of innovate. And, Pluto and Aquarius is innovation. Uranus and Gemini, innovation. Neptune and Aries, innovative, very. So, we just have to innovate. You have this weeping willow. It says family sorrow on it. I don't really feel anything bad happening. This feels like something from the past, like a while ago. And so I don't know if some of you, it's like, again, I'm not making fun of you or anything here, Capricorn, but it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with a good example here, but it's like, it's like if someone, like I'll give you a great example. My grandmother died when I was really young. I was like 4 or 5 years old. And, but she died like right at Christmas time. And so at that time of year, for years, that like every Christmas that like made my dad sad. Right. And so it's like, that's what's popping into my head here is like, if there was a time where I'm not saying someone died, but if something happened, like, I'm not even saying there's anything wrong with it, Capricorn, but I don't know, might be a good time to like heal the cycle or something. But this looks really good for the most part. So thank you for being here. Make sure to like, leave a comment, and definitely enjoy your week.